Courage is not the absence of fear, but the decision to act in spite of it. Every human heart feels the tremor of doubt, the heavy breath of hesitation, and the shadow of danger. Yet history belongs not to those who surrender to fear, but to those who rise despite it. Franklin displayed courage in challenging old ideas with new inventions, while Lincoln embodied courage by holding a divided nation together. Courage whispers, move forward, even trembling. True courage begins quietly, often in solitude, where the battle against fear rages silently. Franklin, still a poor apprentice, dared to believe his thoughts could shape nations, publishing words that threatened kings and crowns. Lincoln, threatened and despised, still stood before hostile crowds because he believed truth deserved a voice. Courage does not wait for safety. It acts when safety is impossible. Fear may roar loudly, but courage is a steady, unshakable whisper that refuses surrender. Courage is not recklessness. It is disciplined bravery that chooses wisdom over impulse. Franklin believed reasoned action was the bravest act of all, confronting ignorance with light instead of violence. Lincoln, mocked and opposed by his own government, pressed forward with the courage of conviction, not convenience. Courage stands when approval fades, holds its ground when power demands silence, and does what is right, even when the cost is crushing. Courage is the strength to resist surrender. History remembers courage because it is so rare, a jewel polished by fire. Countless men speak bravely, but only a few endure suffering for the sake of principle. Franklin risked prison for publishing dangerous truths that stirred revolution. Lincoln risked assassination and national hatred to preserve liberty and union. True courage is not measured by applause or triumph, but by what one willingly sacrifices for a vision greater than himself. It is endurance against impossible storms. Courage often walks alone, misunderstood by the many who choose comfort over principle. Franklin was dismissed as eccentric, his experiments mocked as foolish, until success silenced critics. Lincoln was vilified by newspapers, cursed by politicians, doubted even by allies. The road of courage is not paved with cheers, but with stones of ridicule. Yet both men pressed forward, proving that isolation cannot destroy conviction when truth itself is the companion walking beside you. Hope fuels courage like breath fuels fire, binding vision to endurance. Franklin hoped knowledge would uplift humanity, and his courage to teach and print grew from that light. Lincoln hoped freedom would triumph over chains, even when each battle soaked the land in grief. Without hope, courage collapses into despair, but with hope, courage becomes unstoppable. It does not deny pain. It transcends it. Hope and courage together forge a light stronger than fear's darkness. Courage spreads like flame, igniting souls wherever it is seen. Franklin's daring vision inspired ordinary men to dream of independence, turning whispers into revolution. Lincoln's courage steadied weary soldiers who fought through mud and blood, reminding them the cause was worth every sacrifice. Courage is never private. It multiplies through example. Your act of bravery, small or great, may awaken strength in countless others, for courage is the one fire that grows when shared freely. Fear never disappears completely, and this truth is why courage is necessary. Franklin admitted doubts, but never allowed them to command his life. Lincoln grieved and trembled, but did not permit sorrow to halt his steps. Courage acts not when fear is gone, but while fear is still alive. It trembles yet walks. It weeps yet fights. It aches yet refuses to collapse. The brave man is not fearless. He is simply unwilling to stop. Courage is often the power to refuse, to stand when surrender would be easier. Franklin rejected compromises with power that would have enslaved liberty, believing freedom demanded all or nothing. Lincoln refused to abandon emancipation, even when urged to save political reputation. True courage is not always advancing with speed. Sometimes it is standing still with strength. It is resistance against injustice when silence would preserve comfort. Courage is refusal when the world commands obedience. There is courage hidden in the ordinary, unseen yet essential to greatness. Franklin faced his flaws on paper daily, a quiet courage that demanded honesty more than applause. Lincoln endured unbearable personal losses while still carrying the burdens of millions. Such courage is not dramatic, but it builds the soul stronger than gold. It is the courage to rise from bed one more day, to continue when the world is giving you 1,000 reasons to quit. Courage shapes destiny in ways unseen at the beginning. Franklin's courage to publish words, to test inventions, to challenge the establishment built a republic of new ideas. Lincoln's courage to lead through civil war preserved the very survival of that republic. Without courage, both men would have remained ordinary. With courage, they became immortal in history. Your courage, too, can ripple across generations, for the smallest act of bravery can redirect the course of the world. Great courage does not begin with giants. It begins with ordinary lives daring to rise. Franklin was a runaway boy with little but a restless mind, yet courage carried him to greatness. Lincoln was a poor child of the frontier, yet courage carried him to the presidency. Their greatness was not inherited. It was forged by repeated choices to stand. The same seed of courage lives in you, waiting for the moment you decide to awaken it. If these words stir your spirit, let courage show through your action today. Like this video, subscribe, ring the bell, and share it so the message of Franklin and Lincoln can reach beyond us. Each action is a spark of courage, proof that you are not only a listener, but a bearer of light. Courage grows by being practiced, and your support becomes part of the legacy that Franklin and Lincoln entrusted to us all. Courage demands sacrifice, for no great life is built without cost. Franklin sacrificed safety when he challenged the authority of the crown, knowing betrayal carried the weight of punishment. Lincoln sacrificed peace of mind as he led a fractured people under the constant shadow of assassination. Scars became the proof of their convictions. To live without courage may feel safer, but it is a small life measured by comfort, not legacy, and destined to fade quickly. Courage and integrity are inseparable, each strengthening the other. Franklin lived by virtues he examined daily, a discipline that required the courage to face his own flaws without excuses. Lincoln lived with such honesty that even enemies called him Honest Abe. Courage without integrity is recklessness, a fire that burns uncontrolled. Courage with integrity, however, becomes a lighthouse guiding others through storms, because its flame is both steady and pure, impossible to extinguish by lies or fear. Courage often wears the disguise of failure, though hidden within it is the seed of triumph. Franklin endured countless experiments that failed before invention lifted his name into history. Lincoln lost elections, lost battles, and lost friends, yet his courage to continue carved victory from despair. Courage does not guarantee immediate success, but it guarantees transformation. Each fall refines the spirit, and each rise after defeat proves that courage alone is stronger than failure's grasp. The truest measure of courage appears when the odds scream impossible. Franklin faced the weight of an empire with nothing but conviction and words pressed onto paper. Lincoln faced the agony of a civil war, knowing unity seemed beyond reach. Neither man acted because success was assured. They acted because giving up would betray their conscience. Courage is the force that steps into the fire, not because it will surely win, but because surrender is unthinkable. Courage is vision armed with will. Franklin dared to dream of free men shaping their destiny when such dreams seemed laughable to the world. Lincoln dared to dream of a healed nation when blood still soaked its fields. Vision without courage dies as fantasy, but courage breathes life into it. It transforms fragile ideas into revolutions, broken hopes into restored nations. Without courage, vision is a ghost. With courage, vision becomes the architecture of tomorrow. Risk is the birthplace of courage. Franklin risked ridicule and ruin in pursuit of discovery. Trusting the truth would vindicate him. Lincoln risked not only his presidency, but his very life to defend liberty. To be courageous is to release the grip of false security. Courage asks not, "What if I fail?" but "What if I never try?" Every great advancement begins when someone risks standing, knowing safety was never meant to be the goal. Forgiveness requires greater courage than vengeance, because it demands strength of spirit over strength of hand. Franklin forgave critics to keep peace and progress alive, knowing grudges waste precious time. Lincoln forgave enemies in victory, declaring malice toward none and charity for all. To forgive is to break chains that vengeance tightens. It is the bravest act of all to choose compassion, where hatred would be easy, and to heal where destruction would come naturally. Courage often hides in unseen places, where no audience applauds. Franklin's quiet habit of self-examination required courage to confess weakness privately. Lincoln's late nights of grief and prayer required courage to carry burdens without breaking. Public speeches may inspire nations, but private acts of courage sustain the soul. The greatest battles are often fought in silence, where one man decides not to surrender to despair. These victories, invisible to crowds, make public triumphs possible. Legacies are born from courage, and they echo far beyond the grave. Franklin's courage established libraries, universities, and principles that continue to shape society. Lincoln's courage birthed freedom that redefined what America would mean to the world. Your courage, though unseen by millions, will live in those who follow after you. A single act of bravery today can spark strength for generations yet unborn. Courage writes its stories, not in sand, but in stone. Fear may remain, but courage transforms it into fuel. Franklin feared wasting his life, so he used that fear to pursue excellence relentlessly. Lincoln feared disunity would destroy freedom itself, so he used that fear to preserve the Union. Fear warns of danger, but courage commands the response. Courage refuses to be paralyzed. It channels fear into focus, making the very force that could stop you into the strength that drives you forward. Courage never waits for perfect timing, for perfect timing is an illusion. Franklin published ideas when doing so was perilous, refusing to delay for safety. Lincoln declared emancipation when opposition boiled, knowing hesitation would chain freedom indefinitely. To wait for courage to feel easy is to wait for eternity. Courage acts in the present moment, carving possibility out of chaos. The world changes not when it is ready, but when someone dares to act. Courage is leadership in its truest form. Franklin led with innovation, proving that wisdom and creativity could guide nations. Lincoln led with compassion, showing that strength and tenderness can coexist in the same heart. Leadership without courage collapses in crisis, but leadership with courage inspires generations. To lead is to carry burdens others cannot, and to dare what others will not. Leadership is not position, it is courage dressed in responsibility and sacrifice. So let courage be the compass that guides your days, steady even when storms rage. Franklin and Lincoln show us courage builds nations, preserves liberty, and transforms despair into destiny. Your courage may not be written in textbooks, but it will be carved in the lives you touch. Rise today with brave resolve. Take action despite fear. And remember this truth: courage is the seed from which every lasting legacy grows eternal.